Hello everyone. In this video we're going to look at APIs. So API stands for Application Programming Interface. Now learning APIs is usually a turning point for a lot of developers because it opens a lot of possibilities for the type of applications that you can build. So what are APIs and how can we use them? So for the application that we're building right now, we want to get the current cryptocurrency price data. Now how do we go about doing that? For that we need to use an API. You can think of an API as an interface to a third-party service that can provide us the data that we need. So if we look at the diagram here, we have a client device on the left-hand side. This could be a computer, laptop, or a mobile device. And it makes a request to a third-party server, which contains the information that we need, and then it will return a response with that data. So the server could have data about cryptocurrency information, real-time weather data, movie data, or food or grocery data. And there are a lot of other APIs that you can check out for whatever information that you need. Now, the best analogy that I found for APIs is a wall socket. So unless you're an electrician or you did electrical engineering, you probably don't know what's happening behind the wall. However, you know that with the right interface, you can get the electricity that you need. And this is exactly what an API is. You don't know or care to know what's happening behind the scenes of an API, but you know that with the right interface or the right endpoint, you'll be able to get the data that you need. To learn how to use APIs, we need to learn about HTTP requests. So HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and all a protocol is a set of rules that defines a means of communication. So let's say I walk up to a person right now and I put my hand out to shake their hand. So this is a protocol that humans have whenever we meet each other. We know that if someone puts their hand out, then we need to put our hand out and shake their hand. So this is exactly what a protocol is. So in order for machines to communicate and be able to send data, they need to have a defined set of rules that will allow them to do so. So there are different methods that we have for HTTP, but we really only need to focus on a few of them. So let's look at the different methods that are available to us. The first method we'll look at is the get method. If we go to this link right here, we'll see the methods explained in detail. So the get method is used to request data from a specified resource. And this is the method that we will use in our application to get cryptocurrency data. And to look at how it's used, we see that there's a URL at the beginning, and then we can pass in parameters afterwards. Now, if we demonstrate this, we can go to google.com, and then we type cars, for example. If we look at the URL, let me remove everything afterwards, we can see that we have the URL right here, and then we have a query parameter, and we're passing the value as cars. Now, as you can see here that the information we pass in is visible. So this can only be used for information that is not sensitive. Now, let's say we are signing into a social media application, let's say something like LinkedIn or Facebook. We cannot pass in the username and password as query parameters because they will be visible. So for that, we should not use the get method, and instead we should use the post method. If we look at the post method, it says it is used to send data to a server to create or update a resource. And if you see here, we pass in the parameters as the body of the request. And these values can also be encrypted and then decrypted from the server. Another method that we have is the put method, which is very similar to the post method. Put is used to send data to a server to create or update a resource. Next, we have the head method. So the head method is almost identical to the get method, but without a response body. And here, if you look at what it could be used for, so head requests are useful for checking what a get request will return before actually making a get request, like before downloading a large file or response body. Another method that we have is the delete method. So the delete method deletes the specified resource. So whenever you want to delete data from the server, you can use the delete method. And then we have the options method. So the options method describes the communication options for a target resource. So today we're only going to focus on get and post methods. So if we go to the next screen, so we're going to be using the du package to make HTTP requests in Dart. So let's look at how to make a get request using the du package. So we first create a try and catch block. Try catch blocks are used to handle failures. So the way this works is that the code within the try block will be executed, and if any failure occurs, the catch block will be executed. So there can be multiple reasons why this request might fail. There could be a problem with the server, the internet connection might not be working, or the request itself might be invalid. So we want to be able to handle all of these issues. Now here we also see some extra keywords like await, async, and future. And all this means is that this communication is asynchronous. So what is asynchronous communication and why is it useful? As an analogy, let's say I'm calling the customer service of my cell phone provider. And let's say that they're currently busy. So there can be two options. Either they tell me to hold on the line until someone is available to speak to me, or they tell me to hang up and then they will call me back when they are ready. So this is where asynchronous communication is very useful. Because if I hold on the line, that means I won't be able to do anything else. I just have to wait until someone is available. So that way, I will be stuck in doing nothing essentially. Now, how this translates into code, if we don't have asynchronous communication, the execution of the program will be halted or it will be stuck whenever there is an asynchronous request. So that could mean that the UI will get stuck and you no longer be able to scroll through the screen or click on buttons, for example. In order to solve this issue, we have asynchronous functions, functions that can be performed without stopping the execution of the program. So here we have the async keyword. The async keyword means that this function is asynchronous. And once you have this keyword, you can then use the await keyword. The await keyword means that we want to wait until this line is completed successfully before moving forward. So any lines that are happening after this line will only be executed if this line completed successfully. Lastly, we have the return type, which is future of type void, and future is the return type of an asynchronous function, and what's inside here is the return type of the data that will be returned after the future is completed. Right now we have void. That means that we're not actually returning anything from this function call. The next type of request that we're going to look at is the post request. So post requests are very similar to get requests. So here we change from get to post, and then we also pass in the data parameter. Now for today's application, we're going to use the CoinCap cryptocurrency API. Now I suggest downloading the JSON viewer extension, which will allow us to display the data in a nice format. And then here are the two different endpoints that we're going to use. We have /assets and then /assets and then the name of the asset. So the first one will give us data about all coins, and then the second one will give us data about one particular coin. So let's quickly look at the data returned from both endpoints. So if I click here and open it in the browser, you can see that this is the data that comes back. So here we have the coin ID, rank, symbol, and so on. If we go back and then I click on the second one, you can see here, since we're passing Bitcoin, we're only getting the data about Bitcoin. We can change this. So let's say Ethereum, and we should be getting the data about Ethereum. In the next video, we're going to look at how to make a request from our application and display the data in our app.